give you an overview of what I'm doing. I've got several different templates here I use, depending on the size of mask, small, medium, and large. And we'll cut one out here for you. We'll cut a medium out. This is about the end of my. This is an 8-yard bolt. This is all I've got left. And I just position this on here. It's got double-sided tape on it. And I do a rough cut. And press that on there just to make sure that it's sticking on the tape. And just kind of cut around the template. Not really rocket science. That's the back side of that pattern. The front side. These mask pieces go together like this. This is actually the inside. The outside is this pattern. Would actually go together like this. And the nose. So there's 4 pieces to each mask, and I will be cutting out here very shortly pattern number 150. So quite a number of these patterns for sure. Quite a number. Here's what. Let's see. In the box we've got 44. This is 1/2 of. Well, this is. Actually, there's 80 some patterns. There's 44 inside, 44 outside, but this is just 1/2 of the mask. The other half's in the box. So there's a lot of pieces, a lot of work in these masks. But I wanted to do something more than just a square pleated mask. These will be used for just riding around year-round. Even in the wintertime, but I believe the mask will be able to have a filter piece even put inside the mask that can be thrown away. I'm trying to do some research to see what kind of spray-on additive can be put on the mask to improve the protection. I don't know what this is. 100% cotton, not a very good micron filter. You know, if it's actually protecting you 50% of the time, I mean it's a step forward. It's all I can do. So anyway, I'll continue cutting out patterns and making masks. This is my work area. It's kind of a mess. I've got these pieces all over the house, and I separate them into boxes. Here's a box of mediums, a few large, and some small patterns. I've got some experimental pieces too that I'm working on. This is a pattern that this would be the inside and the outside. That used to be 6 yards or 8 yards of material. This is the that's from the sides and material. Oh boy, we're having fun now. I wanted to give you an overview of what I've been up to really since the 20th of March. That's when I went out and started acquiring fabric for masks, figuring that this was probably the only thing I could do to help fight the virus that we're all facing. Anyway, here's where I'm at today. It is April the 1st. I started out, this was the first mask that I got back from the seamstress, and initially I had these little, you did see the original tie tacks, which was a plastic and metal tack. These did not work, so I went out and bought 400 of these, figuring that this would be the ticket. It was not the ticket. I will take a close-up picture here of this, perhaps. These little tacks were not the ticket. They would pull off when you take your mask off. So I took them off of this mask. I did an initial a picture of it, and elected to try to sew just a tack, not necessarily sew, this is actually paracord, just a little tacking stitch to hold the elastic bands, and it worked okay. Initially, you can't see it from up there, but these pockets are actually buttonholes. Well, they were not in the place that that they really should be, for one reason or another. But I went ahead and I've been using this mask. It kind of flops out up at the top, but I've discovered something at the bottom, and that is, with this being loose, it conforms to the neck area. So I like this being loose here. It needed to be tighter up here. But the theory behind getting these straps closer together was to eliminate that that gap that you see just about in all the mask where it wants to pull together, which is not filtering anything through that opening. So I wanted to get them closer together. I have since moved the top strap up. This mask is going to a local gentleman. I moved it up just a little bit and left the bottom kind of down there. And this is tacked here just to hold the strap in place. And there's enough elastic here that the tack can be taken out and re-sewn if you want to change the length of the strap. So I went from the tie tacks to a tack paracord knot to a hand-sewn stitch that allows, actually the mask can be turned inside and out if you wish. It has a little different pattern fabric inside, and that's what's going to a customer. We have 3 sizes of mask: small, medium, and large. These are medium mask, which is what that's the size I wear. And but you can see with the bottom kind of lined up, you can kind of see the difference in size here. The large being pretty large. What is not readily obvious is the fact that there is a logo imprint that I stamp with this rubber stamp and a cloth transfer chemical. It's actually an ink, a paint type ink, and it will not wash out. So anyway, I bought a couple of these stamps in the last month, specifically to stamp these masks. It's kind of indiscreet. You can't readily see it, but it's just my way of signing the masks. So there is a signature imprint on all of these. Some of them are not as obvious. This one here you can barely see. The one on the right is barely visible. The one on the left is more visible. I have no control over that. They are all going on the left side of the mask. On these masks, the bottom is relatively straight across, and there is a rise in the nose area. Some of the tools that I've used, the chisel. I use this to punch the little slot where the strap goes through. The purpose of the slot is just to return the strap to where it could be double-sided sewn back into the stitchery of the mask. It does not pull on this opening. And the opening is not sewn in this case like it was with the buttonhole stitch, but there is a fabric hardener in this area that I'm experimenting with, and that will keep it from fraying, and it is washable. Again, as far as washing these masks, when you get them in an envelope, just dump them right in the sink. There's nothing in here that's not washable, and go ahead and just rinse it out. These have all been in the wash at least once. This has probably been washed, this one, 2 or 3 times. So what I'm trying to do is to achieve a mask that will last you a very long time, with the idea that you can change the elastic out, you can adjust it before you permanently sew it in, you can adjust this and get it to where it really fits comfortably. If and when the elastic wears out, just replace it. I think the mask should last you several years. The initial intent was just to wear something when you're riding your trike or your recumbent bike. Keep bugs and foreign matter out of your face, your nose and mouth area. Back to the tools, I got the punch. I use in this case, a Delrin plastic that kind of gives a little bit, doesn't continually dull the edge of the chisel. So that combination there, occasionally I'll use an X-Acto knife just a little bit of a probe with an ice pick to pull threads out or move things around in a very microscopic manner. Just a variety of scissors. And again, what I'm trying to achieve with an upgrade to a typical mask is I want the elastic strap to be adjustable and replaceable without destroying the mask. So I've played with a variety of chemicals that I shouldn't say chemicals, they're all water soluble and intended for use on fabric, just to have the stitchery or the opening to where it will not fray. And these are just some samples. This one here is still a little bit wet because some of these openings, I'll get a picture, a close-up picture of this. Some of these openings are, you can't even see the opening because it's just a small slit. I'll try to point out this one here is the latest slit that I've worked on. There is actually a slit there, and there's a mark on the fabric because I couldn't see the slit. So there's a variety of adhesives that I literally drive into this fabric, and I'm not going to get into the process. None of the driving tools are out here, or the chemicals I'm using, again water-based and meant for sewing, but I drive it into the fabric so that it actually permeates the outer layer and sometimes even into the inner layer. Depends on if the material is pre-wetted, it goes further in than it does in this case where it was dry. It did not penetrate into the inside layer. So this has been the biggest holdup of getting these masks out. This mask is going out probably tomorrow here locally in Tennessee. I've got a mask going to North Carolina. Talked to a gentleman this morning. I've got a mask going out here with the Canopy to Florida. And that's just about it. I did not intend ever to replace an N95 mask. I had a box of these years ago and pulled the last one out, as a matter of fact, a couple weeks ago, to use just going to and from the store. So I don't even have any more N95s. Particle mask. The issue I have with a molded mask is that it just is irritating when you're wearing it. And you folks who are in the cycling circles know that if it doesn't feel right, it likely won't get worn. Same thing with a helmet. I wanted something that looks good, it's functional, and it feels good. So that's what I'm working on. I had someone ask me if I was ever going to attempt to put metal in the nose area, so where it kind of pinches the nose. I'm not too keen on adding another material to this. I wanted it nice and soft to where you could just put it in your pocket. But I am experimenting with, in this case, this has been dipped in an epoxy bath only in the nose area. And I folded this back so where it's already getting hard right now. When this sets up, this has been drying now for about 3 hours. When it sets up, it will be harder here, so when these wings fold back out to go around the cheek, this bend right here will force the mask back in toward either side of the nose. Is it going to work? I have no idea. This was just an idea I wanted to try, and I'm letting this set up for a while. I can put that on a mold. I can make a mold where the mask can go down on a mold. I want to see if it even works at first. But that's a water-based milk paint product, actually intended to reinforce soft fibers in wood. But it's working. It does work on fabric. It will make it harder. In fact, even paper towels, if I coat a paper towel, it becomes rigid. So we'll see where that goes. But that's about it. I've got 148 masks cut out. Here's some that the seamstress returned the other day. This is a box of mediums. So you can see there's a lot there's a lot of masks here. A few large and a few small. That, as a matter of fact, is a couple of mediums. I think, yeah, that's right. These were mediums and smalls. These here have the buttonhole stitches in them, so I'm trying to keep those separate from those. Do not have buttonhole stitching. So a lot of masks to go through. This is about half of the total initial batch. I've got enough material here. I could probably make a couple hundred more masks. It is very time consuming. I can bang out about 30 or 40 a day. I do have some templates that I use. They got pieces of double-sided tape on them, and here's a medium. This is a medium. So it just goes down on material. I cut out around here, and it's folded, sewn. There's 4 pieces to a mask, just in the fabric. So these have enabled me to do some pretty nice cutting in a fairly rapid fashion. This is what I do. This is where my mind is anyway, to on a handmade, automated fashion. So this was just simple stuff, and it does work. When I say I can make 30 or 40 a day, that's usually about 3 or 4 hours worth of productivity. Obviously, I've got to eat, and I'm chilling now. I'm too old to bang away hour after hour. So, having fun with this. I'm hopeful that the people who get them enjoy them, and above all, stay safe. About it. I don't know of anything else I need to take pictures of. Everything's pretty self-explanatory. Some of this, in fact, all this equipment here, I've had for many, many years. Aside from the fabric, it's kind of like business as usual, just a different product. When you, like I said, I will be sending these out to the folks who have my canopy. I'll be contacting them first. Make sure they're even interested in getting one, and to make sure I know what their address is. That's the first part of the process. But I also want to explain to everyone that when you get these masks, I've taken a lot of painstakingly taken a lot of effort to stay clean and sanitary, but who knows? Even when I go to the mailbox, I put mail. A lot of it's opened outside, envelopes discarded, and allowed air dry before it comes into the shop here. And I'm just doing the best I can. But when you get a mask, I would suggest taking it out of the envelope and dumping it right into the sink with a detergent that you feel comfortable with as far as your skin sensitivity. Go ahead and wash your hands while you've got this in there. And when you go to dry these, I've always been irritated with the masks that I wear. There's no way to set them down and keep them from getting further contaminated, especially in my case with dust. They're always like a bowl collecting more dust. So what I did, inside there is a threaded loop that if it's pulled out, and I would suggest pulling it out as it's in the bath, and it creates a little loop. You can't see it, but there's a little loop of thread here that can now be used to hang the mask while it dries. Just go ahead and rinse it out. Use a lukewarm, maybe even a cool water, sudsy cool water, but when it's drying, it will dry and stay somewhat shaped. But more importantly, you're not resting this on, I imagine taking the mask and putting it in your car on a gear shift. Well, what's on this knob, I wouldn't want in my mask. So that's the reason for the little loop. It's just there for drying. When you're done with it, just pull it back inside, and I have trouble even finding them. I don't know of anybody else with anything like that. It's simple. If it, for whatever reason, if it irritates you, just cut it out. It's not secured to anything. It's just through a couple of holes. So I felt that was an improvement, but most importantly, the ability to do something with these straps, lengthwise and replacement-wise. They're not sewn inside like every mask. In fact, my N95s the straps are stapled, and I've got masks laying around here with the straps where they've come loose at the staple. It's just flimsy, and that's terribly unfortunate. We're not doing a good enough job of making things that are more durable and more useful and more user-friendly. That's the concept behind what I'm trying to do with these masks. So that's my mask. I would like to have some printed data on that. It just kind of backs up what I've suggested as far as washing. Do not dry these. Do not wash them in hot water. Some common sense there, but do wash them in a product that is going to get rid of the virus. I think even sudsy water, soapy water, has been approved to get rid of the viral particles. This mask also, if I have anything here available that I can show you, I do. When you go to the store and you get these reusable, or not reusable, but you get these hand wipes, alcohol-laced hand wipes, this is a very good filter material. I suggest saving these if you don't already have a box of them. You can re-dip them in alcohol and use them again, but I would suggest that just these single pieces, when they're all good and dry and clean by washing or whatever, but they can be put in the mask as an additional filter layer, and either be a throwaway or certainly a discarded item. But this will increase the effectivity of the mask itself, and I can almost promise you that we're getting to a point where there will be sprays available that can be put onto a cloth mask. This is 100% cotton. There will become available sprays to improve the protecting ability of the fabric, and I think you will also find that we'll have more and more product, disposable product perhaps, that will add to the filtration effectivity. So that's it from Tennessee, and I hope to get this video out. There'll probably be more videos done after I know what I'm doing, but that's what I'm doing today. And I know it's not been obvious why I haven't been raising hell so much. Well, I've been putting myself through this. These challenges that you see here are something I accept. I accept challenges like this, and I think after this first wave of masks, I'll probably change a little bit of the design here. This is a stock design I lifted right off the internet. I did not make any changes whatsoever in the shape or the manner in which it was sewn together, and that seemed to be what I wanted to achieve. One of the issues I see with the square pleated masks is cleaning the pleats. It just didn't seem as easy to maintain as this nice single surface. These can be ironed. You can iron them laid flat, you know, ironing one side at a time. And whether it be, you know, you can reverse these, but just ironing one side at a time, because that contour will prohibit it from laying flat in that manner. That's about it.